My terrace in England, in my home in England. I'm on my way to Wembley in a minute because, of course, Spain plays England in Wembley, a place where I think we played about 9 times, but only managed to win once. That was in the 80s, so a long time ago. But the games with England always determined our position in the world in a little bit. So, for instance, when we went to Old Trafford and Iniesta scored the winning goal 1-0 against England, that was 2007. A new era was starting. And of course, we won the European Championships in 2008, and then the World Cup, European Championships again, but we failed in the last 3 tournaments. And that's absolutely crucial to understand what's happening now. I told you more or less the story of how the Federation decided to get rid of Lopetegui. Let me give you 1 or 2 more clues. The fact that, of course, Rubiales, the president of the Federation, had known all along that Real Madrid wanted Lopetegui, but he was very upset by the fact that he only found out 5 minutes before he was going to go public. It wasn't so much that he didn't know about it, as he said, and it wasn't so much that it was all about values and whatever. There was so much criticism towards the Federation for the handling of Lopetegui that he decided to point the finger of blame to somebody else, to Real Madrid and to Lopetegui himself. He knew what was going on. Generally, you always do. And in fact, the Federation was negotiating with Lopetegui his compensation and with Real Madrid of €2 million, which was included in his contract. So, all in all, urgent decision had to be taken. Fernando Hierro didn't particularly fancy being in charge, decided to be in charge, and almost like out of obligation and respect to his position as director of football. But as the player said afterwards, he of course was missing on the little things that make the job of a coach easier. He'd only been with the side for 2 days as a coach, and he didn't recognize little details, body gestures or conversations or things in training that would suggest who was ready and who wasn't. All in all, it was a collapse of the big idea after a very good qualifying process. A couple of friendlies against Tunisia and Switzerland suggested that there was lack of sharpness. So when we fail at the World Cup, Luis Rubiales decides to bring a strong personality in Luis Enrique. Rubiales had suggested privately as well that the players were lacking a little bit of discipline and strength from the coaching department. So Luis Enrique obviously adds that, and in fact, one of the first steps that he did is to create a list of rules that include what time to have lunch and dinner, fines for being late, not usage of the mobile in the sporting facilities, stuff like that, including as well no going back to Madrid in between friendlies or games, but going from one place to the other, so he has the group together, and even managing to he wants to organize their free time as well. So this is somebody that wants everybody to be focused at the time of being with the national side. Even food and obviously everything that has to do with physical preparation will be something that they look after. Generally, when you go to a national side, it's all very relaxed. That's why players like it as well. They see their friends that they haven't seen for a while, but everything is a bit relaxed. Luis Enrique wants to just make everybody a little bit more focused. And then in terms of how the team is going to play, there are 10 players missing from Lopetegui's side, and surprises, some would say, like Marcos Alonso, who should actually already have a dozen of call-ups, but he hasn't, and he's only his second. Gaya, left back. Jordi Alba missing for personal reasons, differences between Luis Enrique and Jordi Alba. The story of that one is that Jordi Alba was on the bench for the last, a lot of the times, for the last season of Luis Enrique at Barcelona, as he felt that with a formation of 3 at the back sometimes, and the kind of football that he was putting in practice at Barcelona, others were delivering more than Jordi Alba. Jordi Alba complained privately, all that got to Luis Enrique, and even when Luis Enrique left, Jordi Alba suggested that he was a happy man finally. Well, I think Luis Enrique wanted to make a private point or a personal point to Jordi Alba. Funnily enough, when Jordi Alba was asked by the Federation and Rubiales, what do you think should be a good coach, he suggested Luis Enrique. But Luis Enrique needed to make that point. I think it's a general point, not just to Jordi Alba, but to everybody else. He wants everybody to be, again, focused, to have respect of authority, and he needs all that respect and almost devotion of the players, because he wants to change things. He says he wants to evolve the style, but now he's in a position which he can become almost like the Luis Aragonés of this new era. Remember, Luis Aragonés was the guy that changed the history of Spanish football by giving the control of the team to the midfielders, putting all the midfielders with talent that he had available, and then the rest, as you know, is history. So previous to Luis Aragonés, including with Luis Aragonés, there was a lot of usage of wing backs or wingers, crosses into the box, two strikers, 4-4-2, and we haven't seen much of that since. Well, Luis Enrique wants to do not so much that, but certainly quicker transitions, pressure high, dominating games, yes, but not only from possession, by being offensive. That's the way he wants to do it. He's only had 5 trainings with the team, no friendlies before this one. So we will see how much of what he's been telling the side we'll see. But certainly we may be able to see, there's no clues about the lineup. Nobody has got any clues. He's been very, very private about this. Costa is missing for personal reasons as well, but this has to do with his wife about to be giving birth. And it looks like Morata will probably be up front. Isco and Asensio will be key, and in my eyes, Luis Enrique wants little by little taking the team towards Marco Asensio. What that means is Marco Asensio, even though he's got a lot of quality, he's not a passing midfielder or a passing forward. Obviously, he can drop deep and he's intelligent, but he runs in behind. He's very good at 1v1s. He's got an immediate shoot when he comes in. He doesn't need to prepare it for long to actually shoot, and you know, he will be even a better goal scorer. So what we're trying to do with Spain is take the team more towards Marco Asensio, that is pressure high, or when we recover the ball quickly up front, or much quicker than he has been, and not so much towards Isco. I think Luis Enrique is going to ask Isco to be not the Isco that we've seen with the national side, which to me was a poor player, especially in Russia. All this passing, all this driving with the ball, all this in areas where he did not need to be, far too deep. Instead of linking, passing quickly, he was one of the guys slowing things down. But because he did one or two beautiful things, everybody went like, wow, Isco is brilliant. I thought he was very poor. He had to be on the edge of the box. He had to be receiving the ball and you know, giving assists and feeding the forwards. He didn't do much of that. So that's what Luis Enrique is going to ask him to do. Less of the driving with the ball and more of directness. If he doesn't accept it, these couple may just be taken taken aside, and others being given the opportunity. The likes of Saul, who we may see today, of course. Thiago, of course, who can play that kind of role, has done it with Bayern Munich, especially this season. Post Pep Guardiola has been less about passing, less about holding the ball and more about passing quickly up front. So all that, the players are there. But I just wonder if we've seen the best of Spain for a long, long, long while. For 3 tournaments, I've been saying, this is 6 years, I've been saying, we will compete, we can compete, we learn how to compete, and then we failed. It's about mentality, it's about realizing that, taking nothing for granted, realizing that you have to work really hard without the ball, and realizing as well, everybody, including commentators, that we do not have the generation of players that we had in that magic era of 6 years, 2008, 2012. That's only 4 years. But in that era, basically, where, you know, 3 tournaments that we won, you could see that there were players there that's so competitive, and out of which only Sergio Ramos stays. I'll tell you Sergio Ramos in a minute. The other one, of course, that's over 100 caps is Busquets, who joined forces with Spain in 2010. But it means that it will be a different Spain. Luis Enrique wants it to be a different Spain, and I think most commentators in Spain are ready for a change, because those guys that commentate, that write about Spain, tend to be from the Madrid media. The Catalan media doesn't give so much importance to Spain. They gave it much more because it was Barcelona orientated, a focused team. Now that they only have 2 players in the national side, they've been ignoring it a little bit. So those that commentate and write about Spain, they come from Madrid. And I always felt that they had the impression that the winning Spain was one that wasn't close to the hearts. It was more like a Barcelona type of football, not the football that they've seen, say, at Madrid or Atletico Madrid. So there isn't much crying around because the badly called tiki-taka football is kind of moving on. They feel that something else is needed, and they're happy that perhaps what's coming, if it's a more direct Spain, it feels more related to them, to these commentators. But Sergio Ramos, the fact that Luis Rubiales, head of the federation, had suggested that there was indiscipline, and also that some of the players have got too much authority, made us think that Luis Enrique is coming, of course, with the idea of reducing that role of Sergio Ramos. In fact, what Luis Enrique did in the press conference previous to the Wembley game is actually talking Sergio Ramos up. And in a way, it's the only thing you can do. Not just because you don't believe in it, but when you see Sergio Ramos acting around the place, the relationship he's got with everybody, the fact that he accepts that he's a leader and takes that on board, artificially or not. Because I know that a lot of people that said that he's forced his position into every team as a leader. He's forced it. He's not a natural leader, but one that he wanted to be. As he said, as an 18-year-old, when he arrived to Real Madrid, he wanted to be the Fernando Hierro of Real Madrid. So he got close to the captains then, and then eventually became the captain. With the national side, you just don't see much authority around. He's one of the leaders, has to be, as I said, even though he may have forced his place, that place, into the team. I see him as that. I see him as a leader, and it'll be interesting, the reaction from the England fans, of course. Most of which believe that he injured Salah on purpose. I think that's outrageous to think that way. He obviously wanted to foul him. To injure him is a completely different level of acting, and I don't think Sergio Ramos is made of that, even though certainly as a centre-back he tackles hard, and sometimes we don't have that kind of centre-backs, and it's one of our weaknesses. So Albiol may play, Nacho, those would be regular colleagues of Sergio Ramos at the centre-back pairing, but none of them of the quality of Piqué. No Piqué, no Silva, no Iniesta. A new Spain, but I'm looking forward to seeing what Spain can produce. I've got lots to say about England. I feel very close to what they're doing. I've been talking a lot with the FA and through the years, and I like what Gareth Southgate is doing as well. But I'll leave that for after the game. Once I finish with BBC 5 Live radio and my writing for AS, I'll do a YouTube live, and I'd like to talk to some of you and see what you think of what you've seen, and there'll be a lot of talk about England as well. Don't forget to subscribe and tell everybody that I'm back, and there will be regular content in the site, so keep an eye on the new things that are coming up. And meanwhile, better get a big jacket. It's cold. I'm about an hour and a half from Wembley, so better start moving there. Before Wembley, I'm going to go to see Biggleswade United against Baldock Town, so it's a bit of a derby. If we win every game in hand, we actually will be top of the table, so we'll see. I say goodbye, and I hope you enjoy your Saturday. Cheers, bye.